Good morning, Nerd Chatters. It is a beautiful rainy day in Boston, and I'm going to answer Yasmeen's challenge about what 5 things I would save in a fire. I thought this challenge would be pretty easy at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized how complicated it would actually be for me. One of the reasons for that is that the place I'm living right now is not home. I live in a house off campus at my university in Boston. So if this house were to burn down, the one that I'm in right now, it wouldn't be the end of my life. I still have a lot of clothes and some shoes and some books and some basic necessities at my other house in Maryland. Losing this house wouldn't be the end of my world, and that actually really changes my priorities of the things that I would save. I decided to not count things like my phone and my wallet because those things are on my person all of the time unless I'm actually asleep. So I decided that that wasn't interesting and wasn't something that I would have to run and look for to save to get out before the fire got to them. As you can see from the background of this video, I have an awful lot of books. I would definitely want to save all of my books, and this is actually something that has been bugging me for years. Every couple of months I look up and I say, you know, I should really make a list of all the books that I have so that if they ever get burned up in a fire, I could replace them all and know what it was that I had lost in the fire. And I haven't actually done that yet. So if this fire takes place in a hypothetical future where I have actually done that, then the thing I would save would be the list. If it does not take place in that hypothetical future, my favorite book, Good Omens, is not the one that I would save, because I have 2 copies, and my other copy is at home in Maryland, so I would definitely leave Good Omens to burn here. I probably wouldn't save Tifios either, because as much as I love Tifios and the fact that I got my copy Hanklerfish, I can get a copy of Tifios signed by John Green in a lot of different places, so that's not the most irreplaceable thing in the world. The book that I would probably actually save is this one, The Old Less Traveled by Stephen Fry, which is a fantastic and really funny book on poetry and how to write it, and it's been really helpful to me as I try to improve my own poetry. And it is also signed by Stephen Fry, who is on my short list for the perfect human being, and because I'm very unlikely to ever get anything again signed by Stephen Fry. I would also save my laptop, because not only does it have like my finances and my school records and all of those other things on it and all of my passwords, it also has every single poem I've ever written since I was 8, which I would just be sad if I lost those things. I went abroad to Italy last fall, so right now in my room I have a lot of travel souvenirs and paintings from different places and lots of gorgeous little things that I would really like to be able to save if I could, but I think if I had to choose out of all of those things, the thing that I would save would be this. That's a very small glass blue heron that I got in Venice in Italy, and the reason I chose to get a blue heron is because that animal means a lot to me as a symbol, because those were the birds that I always loved to see on the Chesapeake Bay when I was a kid when we would go out on our friends' boat. So this means a lot to me that I've traveled in the world, and also it reminds me a lot of where I come from. The 4th thing I would save, I have a mezuzah, which is a very small silver and glass container. It's kind of a cylinder, and it has a lot of Hebrew prayers rolled up in it. In the Jewish tradition, you have a mezuzah and you hang it on your doorframe, and that is a symbol to yourself and to everyone else that this space is a space in which you practice Judaism and in which you have a relationship with God as prescribed in Judaism. And I don't practice that much of Judaism, but I really love the mezuzah as a symbol and as a part of my identity. And this particular one I got in Prague at one of the oldest standing synagogues in Europe. And it sounds cheesy, but I would really like to have that to pass on to my own children and to have in my family as I get older. So I would definitely like to save that from a fire. The 5th thing I would say was actually really hard for me to pick, because as I was looking around at my room and all of the stuff that I have and all of the souvenirs and the books and the posters and all of the clothing, I love all of that stuff and I like having it, but everything I looked at, I sort of thought, you know, if I really had to, I could live without that thing. And I actually really liked that, because it made me feel like my identity didn't depend on any of the stuff that I had. My identity and my ability to do well in the world is within me, and the stuff that I have just sort of expresses that, and I could express it with different things if I really had to. I did ultimately pick the last thing I would save, and what I chose for that was this stuffed animal, this stuffed beagle. And the reason I picked this is because I have a beagle at home. His name is Buster. And my parents gave me this when I went to college so that I would feel like I was still connected to them and that I still had my dog nearby whenever I missed him. As cheesy and corny as it sounds, there were some moments freshman year when I was scared of living on my own that this was really helpful to me. So I love it for its connection to my family, and because I think that if I was ever uprooted again and forced to just go somewhere entirely new the way I was when I came to college, I would really like to have it with me. Also, it's adorable, in case you didn't notice. That's it for my answer to this challenge. Charley, it is technically your turn to post a challenge since you're the only one who hasn't done that yet. If you feel comfortable with that, if you can think of something, then definitely go ahead and post that. If you don't worry about it, just sit tight and I will post a challenge on Tuesday. I hope that you all have a lovely weekend, and DFTBA.